The Business is sponsored by Kingston Smith Chartered Accountants.
Hello and welcome to The Business, the show that's essential listening for the West Herts business community. Tonight we take a seasonal look at tourism in West Herts. The council and the business are on a drive to attract more visitors to the area. What will they be doing and will it work? We have interviews with Jon Dean, chairman of the St Albans Visitor Partnership, and Alistair Woodgate, a director at the Chamber of Commerce. In the studio we have Beric and Annie Brewster, two prominent local councillors with tourism on their minds and impacting on their portfolios. We've also been out and about this week interviewing tourists on why they come to the fair city of St Albans, and we also have our own countdown of the top 10 local attractions for you to debate and, if you want, disagree with. If you want to get in touch with your favourite, call our studio number on 01727 839 926. That's 01727 839 926. Or on Twitter, of course, at RVTheBusiness. I'm joined as ever by Clare McAnulty. Clare, how are you?
Yes, very well today. Thanks, Trevor.
OK, we're going to start off with a few news items. And what caught my eye in the news this week, Clare, is that 3/4 of British businesses believe that the significant skills crisis will hit the UK in the next 3 years. More than 600 business leaders were interviewed by the Prince's Trust and HSBC, and more than 40% said that they were already experiencing skills gaps within their firms, while more than half are facing difficulties filling vacancies. Now, giving people the right skills, especially young people, has long been an issue for British business. And I think what's striking for me about this latest survey is the extent to which company bosses think that this issue could now put a brake on future growth. 2/3 of them said that they feared skill shortages would put the brakes on economic recovery, and would cause their businesses to fold even. And a further third reported skill shortages at entry level. I mean, it's a bit worrying, isn't it? We're only just in the sort of the early foothills of recovery, and we're sort of hearing about these skill shortages, quite a serious impact on growth.
And I mean, one of the things I wondered was, do we know what the shortages are? Are they aware what the shortages are?
I think they're, in particularly in areas that are quite worrying. A lot of service sector, a lot of technical and mechanical skills, and it's just the general atmosphere that already here we are, barely into a few months of this, and it's already a problem now. But you're seeing some things in the news as well, are you, Clare?
Yeah, well, I've got a social media story this week, and it provides us again with a timely reminder that we should keep our social media profiles up to date, and we do need to occasionally check our Facebook privacy settings. I came across a survey. This was undertaken by oilandgaspeople.com, which is a recruitment site. It shows that 82% of employers have looked up potential candidates on social media sites. Well, I mean, that's fair enough. However, more worryingly, some 64% of employers have rejected a job application after viewing a candidate's social media profile. So that's a lot of people that they're not even getting as far as an interview before getting dismissed. The survey also found that over 80% of recruiters use LinkedIn for candidates recruitment, with about 25% using Facebook. So even if we're not currently looking for employment, you can be sure that potential clients are also checking out our profiles. So you've been warned, keep your online profiles in order, and it should be a regular item on all of our to-do lists. What about you, Trevor? Do you run a check on your profiles from time to time?
Why have you found something? Or I do look from time to time, not as often as I should. I'm always checking other people's profiles, having a little snoop, just before I go and meet them for a business meeting.
I do the same, yeah.
And I think a lot of people do. You see that kind of so-and-so's viewed your profile in the sort of 24 hours before you sort of meet up with them. So they know a little bit about you, and you know a little bit about them. In terms of employment, I think it all ties in with the Google kind of ruling recently about the right to forget that if you've ever done anything wrong in your life, then you're probably going to be picked up in it. So I think it is perhaps a bit overly severe. I think most sensible employers would find a kind of balanced judgment in the end, I would have thought. So, well, shall we get on with our main area at the moment, which is all about visitor attractions, the business of tourism in St Albans and district, the local economy, and perhaps we should establish some facts about the matter. I mean, when we talk about tourist visitor attractions around this area, what do we actually mean? Now, we've put together a quite unscientific top 10 of the quality ratings on TripAdvisor. Of course, we should stress, as they always do, that other comparison sites are available. So what are the top 10 visitor attractions in St Albans?
Well, in at number 10, Redbury Watermill and Bakery, a lovely place to spend a few hours, says one visitor.
We are very lucky to have this place, says a visitor of the Royal National Rose Society Gardens out in Chisel Green. That's at number 9.
And at number 8, the de Havilland Aircraft Museum. Surprisingly enjoyable, in the words of one punter.
In at number 7, Shaw's Corner, the writing house of George Bernard Shaw, which is nestled between Harpenden and Welwyn Garden City. The perfect afternoon, says one visitor.
Next, the Mosquito Aircraft Museum. One tourist says, interesting and informative, of the attraction, rated at number 6.
At number 5, the Verulamium Museum. Lovely museum, well presented, says one visitor of the attraction, nestled in the corner of the park bearing the same name.
And number 4, the St Albans South Signal Box. This quote's from, you Trevor. Love pulling the levers and causing mayhem. So do the kids.
I couldn't resist it. Yes, we do. Now on to the podium. Ranked number 3 is the famous and wonderful Verulamium Park. Fantastic clean park, full of fun and, quotes, the perfect place to have fun and exercise, say those who have enjoyed its beauty.
And ranked at number 2, Ding Dong. It's the St Albans Clock Tower, ranked number 2. A great little gem, says one visitor.
So, what's number 1? Well, it had to be. It's St Albans Cathedral that's achieved the top prize. An amazing cathedral set in the heart of St Albans, say the visitors. And many of them we met during the course of the making of this the show. Well, that's our top 10. But what do you think? Have we missed a little gem from the list? What we want is to hear your view. So please do get in contact. The studio number is 01727 839 926. You can get hold of us on Twitter. That's at RVTheBusiness, or on email at thebusiness@radioverulam.com. I think we're about to go for a quick break, but after that we'll have councillors Beric Reid and Annie Brewster in the studio.
The Business, sponsored by Kingston Smith Chartered Accountants.
My name is Alex Mackay. Here's the thing. I love music. I love music so much that on Monday nights from 10 till midnight, I'll be sharing some of my favourite songs with you every week. From what's in the charts to what's happening locally here in West Herts, I'll be playing a wide variety of different styles and sounds for you to enjoy. So, join me, Alex Mackay, Mondays from 10 till midnight on 92.6 FM, Radio Verulam.
You're listening to The Business on Radio Verulam. We're the voice of the local business community on 92.6 FM and on radioverulam.com.
Welcome back to the business. It's the business of tourism we're talking about tonight. I'm delighted to say we have two councillors with plenty to say on the subject. Councillor Beric Reid, whose responsibilities include community engagement and localism, and the former Mayor and Councillor Annie Brewster, now with a portfolio including leisure and heritage. Good evening, both of you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, welcome to the show. Did our top 10 ring true to you? Did you have a personal favourite, Beric?
A few things. I like the Mosquito Museum, the
Yes.
Allen Museum.
Yeah.
I do like, although I think technically it's just outside our boundaries, but
Okay.
we're happy to include it. Same
Right.
as we include Hatfield House and things on our websites. And
Okay.
things, so it's all in the area. Hartwood Forest wasn't there.
Yes. It's a
But
delight.
I suppose you need to be there to be measuring the people going there. It depends where you're interviewing, maybe. Hartwood Forest I'd want to squeeze in there. But
Right, Annie, are there any that omissions or things you were happy to see in the list?
I'm happy with them all, as you can imagine.
Yes.
And our cathedral, of course,
Yes.
is just absolutely amazing. I still think it's one of the best in the world. Well, interesting omission was the museum in Hatfield Road, Moster,
Yes.
which perhaps shows it's quite a good idea of our new plans, which I'm sure you'll be asking me a little bit later.
I'm sure I will. Okay. Well, thanks for that. Well, we all live locally to this studio, or relatively locally. But what about the first-time visitors to St Albans? Now, I ventured to the heart of St Albans on a sunny market day earlier this week, and what I asked had brought our visitors to St Albans.
To see the the beauty in St Albans is a nice area, very nice area. So to visit all the things can be view. The view for St Albans is very nice.
Yes.
You know.
Have you been in the cathedral?
Just from outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And are there other things that you are going
We're
to see?
We're going to go to the town centre to
Yeah.
see the market and to see the people around, you know?
Right,
Yeah.
okay. It's a beautiful city, and
Fantastic.
it's also the 5th happiest place in the UK.
Yeah. Well, I believe.
I'm come from Turkey.
Yeah.
And in Turkey, I like this.
Similar.
Similar, but I am from Iraq. I am Arabic.
Yeah.
In Iraq, not like this weather.
Yeah.
And like this, I have this building.
Yeah.
Same this door, this square.
Yes.
But not like this.
Right.
It's different.
Okay. Okay.
Every time you travel, because you find different from my country. I want to see you different.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
But I am enjoy when I see this my picture.
Yeah.
After maybe 10 years, I go to London. I see London because London is no normal town. No, it's different.
Yes.
It's capital of now of everyone.
Yes. Yes.
No, only in Arabic. Or London is different.
Yes.
I see Paris. I go to Roma.
Yes.
I go to Spain.
Yeah.
But London, this is my dream. I see London.
It's old civilization, you know?
Yeah.
Yes. It's fantastic to have you here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay.
Thank you
my
very
work,
much.
my work. I am play piano. I am musician and a sound engineer, recorder.
Yes.
Okay. After I return to my country or to, I compose a new title of music for London.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, you should send us a copy of
if you have mail, I can send this music for you after finish.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you ever so much for your time. Thank you.
Well, we came on a day coach trip from Essex.
Right.
And, we're just having a look round.
Right. Okay.
What we've seen is quite nice.
Oh, and have you been in the cathedral yet?
No,
we're just trying to find our way.
You're just right. I can tell you, it's just round. You just go round that corner. You'll have seen the clock tower as well. You just went past. When did you get here? Have you just arrived?
We got here about 11:30.
Right, so not much time to see much. But you'll see. But did you chance on the beautiful market at all?
Oh yeah, we've been right through that.
And the lovely fruit.
Right.
Oh, the fruit and veggies, beautiful.
Right.
We don't have anything like that where we come from.
Okay.
Lovely fruit.
We have markets, but nothing like that.
Okay. So you go out and you go and talk to a few people, and you get offered a piece on the piano, and and you hear all about the lovely fruit. A couple of points I just wanted to pick up with you both, actually. Beric, there's the sort of blessing and the curse of London, if you like.
Yes.
There's one of those guys who clearly, although he knew he was in St Albans, he kept referring to London, and to him, you can understand it. It's Greater London. It's. I mean, is it a blessing or a curse? I mean, or is it a bit of both?
Yes, it's a bit of both, really. Yeah. It was quite interesting to hear the lady afterwards come on the coach from Essex, because one of the problems is we're a bit too close for coach trips from London, because the coach operators you want to feel like you've gone somewhere, and the journey's a bit too short. Yeah. So that can be one of the problems, certainly. Yeah. And we are both a destination as a tourist destination, but we are also a dormitory town to an extent, and so it is a bit of a juggling act.
Yeah. And do you see it the same way, Annie?
I do. I can see it positively, though, as well, that we're only sort of 18 minutes out of London, which is quite extraordinary, but still only about 11% of our tourists are coming by train.
Oh, really?
So I think it's something that's a massive area to improve on. I think the Christmas market showed how many people can come when when we market things really well within London at the stations, whatever. So I think that I think we shouldn't be frightened of that. I really don't. I think having brought the marketing gentleman from one of our twin towns, Worms in Germany here, he couldn't believe, you're going to be shocked, our shops.
Yeah.
He was because we knock our shops, but actually when one walks around to every area and sees what they like, and it's the compactness of a heritage building, then a shop, then a restaurant, another heritage building, and it's very close together.
It's an extremely good point, actually, because we who live here sort of focus on some of the negative things, but a lot of sort of derogatory comments about pound shops and 99p stores and so on. But there are actually some pretty good ones around, actually.
Lots of independents,
yeah, loads of independents. Not too many chains. A few chains coming in, but not too many. Now, of course, Clare was also out and about. We both out and about, weren't we, this week? And she visited the cathedral, which, as we now know, was the #1 visitor attraction. And she's found a lot of UK visitors pleasantly surprised by the town.
Is this the first time you've come to St Albans?
Very first time, yeah.
And what do you think so far?
It's a nice, bustling little place. I mean, it's far busier than I thought it would be.
And what surprises you about it? Are you surprised that there's so much here and that you've not heard about it, or what was it?
It's much busier. I mean, I did work with somebody that came from St Albans, but he never said anything how big the market was. I mean, it's a huge market and very bustling and what have you. It's very nice.
And how far have you come from? Where do you live?
York. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay then.
Yes.
And what sort of things do you come to St Albans for?
Well, we do always make a point of coming to see the Abbey and having a coffee in the refectory there, and just a general walk around. Lovely streets, lovely shops, beautiful park and Abbey here.
And would you recommend it to other people?
Yes, certainly. It's a lovely place for families to come and relax.
And what brings you to St Albans?
I'm singing with a choir from Wells Cathedral in Somerset.
And had you heard of St Albans before today?
Oh, yes, it's a place you hear of, yes.
What do you think so far?
I'm impressed. I'm much impressed with it. Yes, it's a lovely town. The Roman remains fantastic. I come from Bath, and I'm really impressed the Roman remains here, so that's saying something coming from Bath. There's a lot going on. We've hit 2 market days as well, which is good. This gentleman has come from Sark with us, actually. He's the most far-flung of our choir members.
And I live in Sark in the Channel Islands.
And what are your impressions so far of St Albans?
Oh, St Albans, it's a lovely city, a lovely abbey and cathedral. It's different, very different. You can tell it's been here an awfully long time, and the mixture of architecture and the mixture of design and so on, it's quite amazing.
Well, I know it wasn't exactly a scientific survey, but there's certainly some anecdotal evidence there that perhaps St Albans is currently underplaying its appeal a little bit. I mean, what do you think, Annie?
Claire, I think you did really well there, actually. I think I was very interested to hear about the market. We've got rather used to the market. It's been here since the 10th century. It was given the charter in 1553, and we've grown up with it. And I think we aren't aware. I was just speaking to a trader yesterday, and he was saying it's probably one of the best in Britain, not just locally. And I think it's something that we really don't realise. I think my concern really is how the street scene and that area looks when the market is not there. And I think that's something that we seriously do want to work on and improve all of that. Roman, the guy from Bath, I mean, I'm so proud. He didn't mention, I don't know whether he ever got to our Roman theatre. It's the only one in the country.
Yeah.
So, and there are only 4 cities in the country that aren't on their original Roman site, and we're the biggest.
Really?
Yes.
Right.
So if you think the whole park, that was the Roman city, and there's a lot of work going on. The geophysicists have been looking at it, so we've got a clearer picture what it's going to be, and there's some new signs springing up all over the park to help people understand what it is.
Right. Beric, do you think I mean, would you say we're underplaying the Roman effect? It sounds like it's a real winner for some visitors.
I think we've been underplaying everything.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Okay.
And the Roman is one of the bigger sort of parts of our heritage and tourist appeal. So that's one of the bigger things we've been underplaying to a certain extent. But we haven't had an organisation previously to kind of put St Albans together, and all of the different tourist bits, all of the different businesses, restaurants have all been competing with each other for the few people that come into St Albans in the past.
Yeah, and I think you've fantastically led me into this bit, because it's clear that this part of the world has got plenty to offer, but there's been a feeling, as you know, as put by you so well just now, that for some time when it comes to attracting visitors, you've got the attractions, the hoteliers, retailers, council, community partners have either been duplicating efforts or wasting efforts, and there needed to be a step change in the way we did things. Now, an economic strategy for visitors was produced, and from it the St Albans Visitor Partnership was established with members from the public, private and community sectors. Now, Jon Dean is the current chairman of the St Albans Visitors Partnership, and earlier this week Clare spoke to him and asked just what the St Albans Visitor Partnership is all about.
The Visitor Partnership it's an economic group, by which I mean it's about bringing sustainable visitor economy to St Albans and the district. In doing so, that should have an impact on the residents here, because of course that brings business with it, but it should also mean a nicer city centre, a nicer district, and we're doing this to have an economic impact on that is lasting. Problem with St Albans is that we've got all these lovely venues, but we're not making the most of them, and we are now looking to use the partnership to bring people together so that venues work together, so that businesses work together, so that we can actually create the mentality of a destination in the city.
And do you feel at the moment that St Albans is maybe not as well known as it could be, that you've got room there to encourage more visitors?
Some of the research that we've done suggests that people know that St Albans is a nice place to come to. A lot of people will like to come here, but they don't necessarily see it in the same light as they would a Winchester or a Lincoln or a Bath. What we do also know is that when people come here, they find what they call hidden gems, and they're hidden because, of course, they didn't know they were here in the first place. So they're coming here, and when people have done that, they do come back. We've got a very high retention rate. A problem, again, is that we need to consider ourselves as a venue and be able to market ourselves as a venue, put the name out there that St Albans is a place to come to. That's for day trippers as well as people who might come here for a weekend.
Now, we all know that St Albans has got a lot of very nice independent shops and independent places to eat. In some ways, do you think this is part of the problem, that actually everyone's working on their own area, and that in fact if everybody got together to encourage more people in general to come into St Albans, that all the businesses would do well out of it?
It's exactly that. We do know from the work we've done already that there are people who are running restaurants, there are people who are running nightclubs and venues, there are people who are running pubs. And at the moment they see the other restaurants, pubs, nightclubs, venues as direct competition. Whereas with those people working together, and St Albans was seen as the place to go to eat, the place to go for a drink, the place for nightlife, whatever those things are, by working together that can be created. And actually people are hopefully starting to find, the people who are already members of the Visitor Partnership are finding that actually they can work with other people and create an environment where people can come in. If several restaurants are working together, it becomes known as a great place to come. And that's the mental shift that we need in St Albans.
And do you think other cities do it better? And how do they achieve this, where they're kind of working together to just bring people to their city?
That's quite a complicated question. First of all, yes, there are places that do it better, but it's not been straightforward for many places. Let me give you a great example of Bath, which is a lovely city to go to. It's well known as a destination. Up until a few years ago, they didn't have a consolidated visitor partnership or similar. They had 2 or 3 different and disparate organisations who were working against each other. And if you were running a business in the area, that sort of thought train where you were competitive with everybody else was more prevalent. They've worked over the last 10 years to consolidate that, to market themselves more coherently, and the businesses work better together, the venues work better together. Subsequently, it's a nicer place to visit. Subsequently, it's a nicer place to live. So, yes, other places do it better, but those challenges of bringing people together are immense. That change of culture is huge, and that's what we're trying to achieve.
And how are you getting the businesses involved, Jon? What are you doing to attract more businesses to join the partnership?
It will be a snowball effect. We had a launch event in July. We had Visit England come and give their verdict on what we were doing, what St Albans has to offer. We have got many venues, including the cathedral now as part of the partnership. We have restaurants, we have pubs, we have other venues and theatre groups. Lots of very disparate organisations coming together. And we're finding out things about our business that we just didn't know. Who would have known there was a group of Norwegian St Albans City fans who come over here regularly, and suddenly we're finding out patterns of where these people go, where they're staying, where they're eating, and there all sorts of things are coming out of the woodwork in terms of how businesses that appear disparate to start with can start to work together. As that happens, as there are more and more success stories, as we get greater PR, then we will find that people are coming to us. But we're targeting the businesses at the moment, but we are finding that we're already getting far more traction. But we know this isn't going to happen overnight. We need as many people on, but as it starts to roll, it'll become a normal and natural thing for people to do, and they'll get huge benefit out of joining.
You're listening to The Business. We're doing the Business of Tourism special now. We were just listening there to the chairman of the St Albans Visitor Partnership, Jon Dean, and in with the studio with me is Councillors Beric Reid and Annie Brewster. Beric, of course, the launch of the St Albans Visitor Partnership was, in terms of the official launch, it was in July, but it goes back a little way before. In fact, you were the guy that set it up in the first place.
Yes, I set it up almost 2 years ago, and for first about a year I chaired it, and it went through. It was a sort of in-house name. It wasn't called the St Albans Visitor Partnership at that point, but it was really just trying to get all the different groups involved, getting all the hoteliers, all the retailers, all the different people involved together, and getting some momentum to it, really, and that was the beginning of it.
Now, if you take us back to that point, then, I mean. We heard from Jon about the mindset shift. I mean that must have been a bit of a struggle to start with, or was there general enthusiasm?
Once I'd started talking and found some of the right people in the businesses who were thinking sort of with the bigger picture, rather than just blinkers on their business. And a lot of us, I run my own business. Sometimes you have to be blinkers on just your business. But once we did that and spoke to people, it was really a case of saying, I want to do this. Business should be supporting this. I'm going to give you the opportunity to run with this. You've got to pick up your stuff and run with it. And they are. Yeah. And
Annie. It seems like a bit of a no-brainer, doesn't it, really, that people should have been sort of doing something about this. One of your areas of responsibility is heritage. From a heritage point of view, there's such a rich sort of vein to sort of tap into.
Well, I think it has to be. As you know, there isn't as much money around as there used to be. Yes. We all have to pull together. I think the visitor work that we've done in the last couple of years showed up a lot of very important things that it's so exciting that now it's the time to address. Yeah. So the branding's been launched, which is great. One thing we were asked to do was to create an inspirational welcome at our main visitor entry. Yes. And we have the opportunity to do that. You might have heard about the plans for the town hall right in the middle of the city, the biggest cream building coming out of the pavement. For
the benefit of our listeners, perhaps you could sort of expand on that a little bit about what those plans are.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the Heritage Lottery Fund, who are great funders for all works, wanted to give some money to St Albans, and again, as Beric said, wanted to see how we're all working together. Yeah. So they've given a grant to ourselves and to the cathedral for some work they're doing, which will also be a new welcome centre as much as other things. But the town hall, we've got a chance. The courtrooms haven't been used for half a century. Yeah. The town hall hasn't been for use of residents for a quarter of a century, and this is a chance to give it all back as a fantastic museum, art gallery, and a number of other things. And the HLF, it's really exciting to hear what they want to do. They see it as the stepping off point to show our 2,000 years of visible history, which is what we've just been talking about. So it's very much the start of the route to all the places around St Albans.
Right. And we heard about, the fact that, other cities, there was a reference in the Jon Dean interview to, what other cities were doing. I mean, was there a particular city that you followed in terms of the blueprint of how they approached the challenge?
Well, from looking for the Visitor Partnership, that sort of work, the first thing I did was looked at all the evidence base, because I'm a scientist and I'm a bit boring like that. But we looked at Winchester, York, Canterbury, a number of those sorts of heritage cities, as well as some other places, Chelmsford, some other areas as well that are more got the dynamic of London with them as well, to try and get the balance right. All of them, their visitor economies are funded by business, not by the council.
Right.
It was only St Albans where the council was doing things, or not doing things, as the case may be. But we did look at a lot of those places, and they're all heritage sort of places with bids and funding like that.
Yeah. And that's an absolutely crucial part of this. And after the break, we're going to come back and actually talk to a business, the Boot pub in obviously just by the clock tower, and we'll be back right after these messages.
The Business, sponsored by Kingston Smith Chartered Accountants.
At Kingston Smith, our ethos is simple. We want our clients to succeed. Welcoming owner-managed businesses and individuals, we pride ourselves on offering the local business community a range of services that best supports their needs for maximum growth. Kingston Smith, helping our clients succeed. Find us on St Peter Street in the heart of St Albans, or for more information, head to kingstonsmith.co.uk.
Radio Verulam Community Partners.
Verulam Writers' Circle provides support, critique and fellowship to writers at all stages in their careers, with fortnightly meetings on Wednesdays at St Michael's Church Hall, St Albans, and on alternate weeks, less formally, at a local pub. Come and share the creative atmosphere that has stimulated many successful writing careers, and, if you wish, share your own work. We also hold workshops, speaker meetings, open mic events, and the highly regarded Get Writing Annual Literary Conference. For more information, please visit our website at verulamwriterscircle.org.uk.
For more on Radio Verulam Community Partners, go to radioverulam.com/community partners.
Wondering what you could do this weekend? Well, you don't have to go far from home. There's plenty to discover on your doorstep. Join me, Ellie O'Fira, this Friday at midday, and we'll be giving you some great ways to get out and about close to home. That's Out and About, Friday at midday, here on 92.6 FM, Radio Verulam.
You're listening to The Business on Radio Verulam. We're the voice of the local business community on 92.6 FM and on radioverulam.com.
Welcome back to The Business. It's 27 minutes to the hour. Now, we're discussing the business of tourism in this evening's show, and in particular, at the moment, we're discussing the St Albans Visitor Partnership. And I'm here with Clare McAnulty and our two studio guests, Councillors Annie Brewster and Beric Reid. Annie, part of your portfolio is to do with the heritage, and that includes the museums in St Albans. But I gather there's a sort of fundraising sort of campaign going on at the moment, I mean, with a big number attached to it. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, if we say it quickly, well, it's great. The Heritage Lottery have given us 2.8 million, which is wonderful. Woohoo. And the council will be putting in a similar amount. But there's always match funding required. So we've got to raise about 1.7 million in the next year, which I'm sure we're going to do that. And we're going to do it with various ways. There's some big trusts that we'll be applying to. We're hoping if any generous donors out there that have got to, really like to see the city blown open. That's a fantastic thing in the middle. Get in touch. And then there'll be the community fundraising that we'll be launching soon, which will be for everyone to get involved, maybe giving a little bit a little bit lower amounts.
Okay, now that would boggle the minds of a lot of people who are charged with sort of doing that. What are your immediate first steps in terms of going about that? Is it just to get everybody aware in the way you are now?
It is getting everyone aware. I mean, to be fair, we have to be really clear about what we're offering.
Yeah.
And at the moment, we're in the developmental stage, and the designers and architects will be coming and getting on board in about September.
Yeah.
So I think people will be very exciting. HLF are expecting some wow factors, and I certainly am, and I think that's what the city needs, and it's what we've been told for many years.
Yeah.
So let's hope we can deliver something truly amazing in the emotional heart of our city.
Right. And sorry, just so that I know you mentioned a sort of timetable, so 1.7 by when again was it? Sorry?
We've got about a year to do that, yes.
Okay, right. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
With that, I very much hope that if a wealthy benefactor is listening and give us a quick shortcut to that. But it's going to be lots of little contributions, do you think, in reality?
Usually it's a mixture.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, there are people... I mean, to have an art gallery, we're digging a basement under the town hall. Now, again...
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'll come on your show one day and tell you about the whole thing. It'll take too much time now. But there aren't many great galleries outside London. That'll bring a whole new audience. As I say, our 2,000 years of history, I mean, you've seen the timeline that's now on the railway bridge, and just so 16 panels of different things. Even the people opening them, we had Christiana Kubrick opening the one of the Space Odyssey, and we had all sorts of amazing people coming. None of them knew about each of the others. So we've got so many stories to tell, hence the new branding, that we really need to be able to have this amazing place to start it from.
Right, great stuff. Now, one of the businesses to come on board this St Albans Visitor Partnership is the Boot, which is a lovely, for those who don't know, and I'm sure most people have been in, there's a lovely medieval market pub serving real ales and homemade food. I asked Sean, the manager, to tell us a little about the significance of where it is.
The Boot is located in the Cathedral Quarter of St Albans, which is the kind of most historic part, I guess. It's by the clock tower on Marketplace. So obviously it's a very busy kind of area.
And in terms of people that come to the pub, do you reckon that mainly you get locals?
I think it depends on the time of the year. With our main customer base, I would say, is St Albans residents. But obviously in the summer, we have a very different kind of crowd at lunchtime, which would be much more touristy. Whereas in the evening, it's kind of people coming back from London after work, or, popping out after an evening meal. So that we do get, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a 50-50 mix. I would say it's definitely more St Albans based, probably about 70% St Albans based and 30% tourists.
Sean, you've joined the new St Albans Visitor Partnership. What were your reasons for joining? What are you hoping that it's going to do?
We've always kind of worked with the council on these ideas, and I think the Visitor Partnership is a great idea. I'm quite involved with Pub Watch, and as are all of the other pubs in the centre of town and on the outskirts. And being part of the Visitor Partnership with Pub Watch has kind of enabled us to ensure that the pubs are well spoken for when the whole thing goes live. The idea of the visitor strategy, and the reason why I wanted to get behind it is because we want to kind of pull everything in so that people can actually see the variety of what St Albans has to offer. It kind of brings the business community together. I mean, obviously, there's so many different areas in the business. You've got things like the Chamber of Commerce, you've got Pub Watch, you've got other different restaurant associations. There's lots of different small groups which all needed to kind of be pulled together. I think that's kind of just brought people together. Pubs in general need a lot of support, so we're always going to be behind increasing visitor numbers into St Albans. We want to see as many visitors as possible. I think there's some other cities in the UK that are smaller than ours that have double the figures of visitors that we do. So we've got a big area to really develop the visitor numbers and drive a lot more business into the town.
That was Sean from The Boot, and to find out more about The Boot, go to their website on thebootstantalbans.com. And of course, that wasn't me doing the interview, was it, Claire? It was.
No, I think I was meant to read that link. We just got a little bit mixed up, so we apologise.
Never mind. I'm sure alert listeners will have noticed and told us about this already. But Sean made some interesting points about bringing businesses together and pubs. But he also said pubs need a lot of support in this. I mean, pubs are a focal point of the community, and a lot of tourists or visitors come. They want to find a good old pub. So, I mean, did what he said sort of resonate with you in terms of the amount of support that the pubs? I mean, you run a sort of pub competition, don't you, every year? So looks rather ashamed when I say that. Best, was it the I forgot what it's called?
Festive pub. I'm one of the judges for my sins.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And actually, they won this year, didn't they? The Boot.
They did.
Yeah,
yes,
they
did.
The Boot were the winners. I remember.
Yeah. I mean, he made a very interesting point about about the way the community has to come together. But I come back to this point about it must be a challenge for retailers to actually step outside their day-to-day sort of focus.
It is, yes, and it's widening your vision from just what you're doing to the bigger picture and trying to work with. I mean, I suppose when I first came in about 3 years ago, people were saying, "Oh, you can't have any more restaurants in St Albans. There's too many. There's more restaurants than you need for the population." Well, actually, people come to St Albans for the restaurants now.
Yes.
And it's seeing that sort of thing, seeing that bigger picture, that quite often opening a restaurant next to another restaurant is actually a good thing. It's not competition.
Yes.
And I mean, there's all sorts of complexities in that, but it's seeing that bigger picture,
and
which you have to do.
And yet we have a nice independent sort of coffee place, coffee and eatery place like Barissimo, for example, on the high street, saying...
One of the best coffees in town. Yep.
Yeah, saying it is a problem, admitting that it is a problem having the chains sort of coming in and on the high street. So you can understand how they might sort of fight shy of that view.
It is when chains are involved, because chains have deep pockets sometimes to get things going. So that can be a problem,
right?
When they're fighting against chains, certainly.
And we've also got the St Albans Food and Drink Festival as well. That's another good thing that's coming. But Annie, you wanted to come in and make a point.
No, I was just going to say just what Sean made some brilliant points there. And it's just saying that our city, it morphs the whole time, it changes. And I think this is something that I hadn't really thought about till quite recently. And to remember, we're only getting about 1.6 million visitors, whereas Winchester getting about 4.6.
Yeah.
We've got a huge increase that we can still accommodate within St Albans. Even locally, I think only 60% of the visitors, 60% were friends and family. So this is without getting new people, even from, dare I say, places like Harpenden and Cuffley and places around.
Yeah.
So I think trends are changing. A lot of people buy online, but they want to come and do top-up shopping in towns. They want to come to restaurants and coffee shops. That's where they want to hang out. So although people panic, I don't think they should, because actually this is the way things are going. I think as long as we keep the mix, because we have different audiences. You know, you have your young mums who want this, you want your laptop guys who want that, your older people that want to go to something a bit quirky. So I think we shouldn't panic about that. I think we'll get more people in, and there'll be plenty of room for everyone.
Right, I mean, there was a comparison being made a couple of times already about St Albans and Winchester and so on. I mean, is Winchester? I mean, there sounded like there's roughly, my maths isn't that good, about 4 times as many visitors, but Winchester isn't 4 times as big, though, is it? So there is a definite.
It's smaller.
It's smaller,
population-wise.
Right.
I think it's slightly smaller population-wise.
Really?
Yes. Obviously, it hasn't got greenbelt restrictions like we have. But they have the key difference is Winchester's been doing what we're now doing for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to bring things in at really quite a fast pace to play catch up, because we should have been doing some of these things 10 years ago.
Right. 10 years ago, why weren't we doing things like that?
Good question.
Yeah. Were you either of you councillors 10 years ago, or?
I wasn't.
I was just becoming. I was in opposition.
Right.
I certainly wasn't running anything then.
Right.
I think it's probably a sense that a lot of places were just sort of bumping along, and everyone thought it was all right. And it's only when the recessions hit, when people are struggling, that we start to look why, and we start looking at figures and see what's going on. And some people. Some of the listeners probably think we don't want any more people to come in. It's difficult to park. It's difficult to this, difficult to the other. But we've got to, if you want to keep the city centre to be moving, then we do have to look at these issues.
Yeah.
Can I add to that? One of the key things also is to join up everything.
Yeah.
So it's not just the visitor partnership, it's also the shops in the city centre working together to have a city centre manager to try and sort out all of their bin collections in the alleyways and stuff, to try and tidy up the city centre at the same time, which we're doing. It's saying, I mean, I've got targets for 40% increase in the number of visitors by 2018. Well, I had to put parking strategy in to make certain we can cope with that as well. So it is joining everything up that's key.
I mean, there's going to be growing pains in all this, isn't there? I mean, one example at the moment, you've got your Premier Inn about to open. The scaffolding's still there, but it won't be very much longer. And you would have seen the paper recently, the owner of Barmet's just opposite, saying actually, it's been a blight on his business, and took a little side swipe at the council about that when he was talking about that. But I mean, it's inevitable. Do you think that there's going to be these growing pains? I mean, is the council going to allow other sort of hotel space to come into St Albans at all?
Well, you have to look on each thing as it happens, really. But I mean that case is a classic where he's got a problem while there's building work going on, but that hotel will give him a lot of business in the years to come.
Yes.
So
it's a short-term, long-term.
It's a short-term, long-term. Also got a lovely piece of advertising in the newspaper, of course.
Well, yes, because there isn't a restaurant attached to the hotel, so they're going to be using everything else. And it's well, I think the research showed that most of our bed and breakfasts and hotels were full. So we desperately need this, and we haven't even talked about the attractions slightly further afield that are going to benefit, especially because with hotel accommodation there'll be this staying over. So there'll be lots of other places that people can go out to see. So that's another market.
Right. Okay. I mean, was there a particular? I mean, have you got an example of that for our listeners, or something that's slightly further afield?
Oh, I have.
Go on.
Wheathampstead Heritage Trail.
Okay.
Yes.
Why is that a favourite?
Well, I live in Wheathampstead. But again, that was a heritage lottery project, and there's some fantastic walks. And we talked about Shaw's Corner, getting out to that, and within the High Street, Devil's Dyke. Of course, it's the first city in Britain. So the Romans were in Wheathampstead before they came over to St Albans, Pray Wood. So exciting things like that. Redmondbury Mill we talked about. Even going out to sort of Hatfield House and areas like that. So we can build up much better sort of twin and leisure trips. We've got fabulous golf courses around. So
there's so much to enjoy, and we'll be finding out, though, in terms of the St Albans Visitor Partnership, how will we know whether this is all working or not in a few years' time? What are the criteria for success? And we'll be talking about that just after this break.
The Business, sponsored by Kingston Smith Chartered Accountants.
Radio Verulam Community Partners.
Dagnall Street Baptist Church has a welcoming, friendly atmosphere and can be found in the city centre. Regular Sunday services are held at 10:30am and 6:30pm. There are also weekday social meetings, special events and concerts. Our busy, relaxed coffee shop deserves a visit and is open 10 till 2 Monday to Saturday. Our website, www.dsbc.org.uk, has details of our regular programme and future events, plus the opportunity to download our monthly magazine. We also have a Facebook page where you can catch up on our latest news and chat.
For more on Radio Verulam Community Partners, go to radioverulam.com/community partners.
Radio Verulam Community Partners.
The Abbey Line connects St Albans Abbey train station at the bottom of Holywell Hill with Watford Junction and was one of the UK's first official community railways.
The community rail concept was designed to help create a more sustainable future, to reduce the cost of running the line without compromising safety or service, and to involve local people more closely in the development of their railway.
For 150 years, the Abbey Line has been taking people between St Albans and the centre of Watford and beyond.
It continues to do this, and all for at most £6.60 return, and in only 16 minutes.
For more information, visit their website, which is abbeyline.org.uk.
For more on Radio Verulam Community Partners, go to radioverulam.com/community partners.
If you want to get in touch with the business on Radio Verulam, phone us on 01727 839 926 or email thebusiness@radioverulam.com.
Welcome back to The Business. We're tackling the business of tourism. It's just coming up to 10 minutes to the hour. So, we've heard about the view from the tourists, the local businesses and the council and the St Albans Visitor Partnership. Everyone wants it to succeed, but good intentions aren't always enough. How will we know when the visitor strategy is working? I started by asking Alistair Woodgate, a director of the St Albans Chamber of Commerce and local business Rumble Sedgwick, that we can all see that the St Albans Visitor Partnership is a good thing, but how will we know when we've succeeded?
What we're looking to do is to increase the footfall of visitors within St Albans and district, and also the quality of that footfall. It's about making the city and district more of a destination. We're looking to develop various initiatives. We're looking into the viability of an app for St Albans, so whatever is going on across the district can all be pulled into one app that would be a great opportunity for visitors and for residents alike and businesses alike to know exactly what's going on in the district and when. So it's developing a strategic marketing plan of which the app would be part.
And how will you, I mean, those are all very excellent objectives, and I think everybody would sort of sign up to those, but what are the little signs that we will see over the coming months and years that will tell us that this is working? Is it about visitor numbers? Is it about satisfaction of visitors? Is it about satisfaction of the businesses that welcome them? What are the criteria for success?
I think you've highlighted a number of those very specific targets, benchmarks that we'll be able to measure our success by. It is number of visitors, it's visitor satisfaction. Visitor satisfaction is quite high already, but there's always room for improvement. It's businesses feeling as though they have a voice. Not only the businesses, but it's the visitor attractions, the arts and entertainment venues, the transport operators, groups and organisations. It's seeing a regular programme of events, specialist networking, training for people. It's opportunities for inclusion in PR campaigns. It's a development of the St Albans Visitor branding, which has been part and parcel of the Visitor Partnership work in its first few months. So that businesses, residents, visitors alike will feel as though St Albans has a much stronger identity. There's a lot more going on, a lot more they can get involved with, a great sense of community involvement, and that hopefully will drive increased business investment and growth.
Just so that I and the listeners understand then, is that you are going to have regular reviews of how we're doing by the criteria that you mentioned. Is there an end point in this project?
No, it's very much an ongoing project. It's about destination management. It is managing the whole destination culture for St Albans. So it is a long-term initiative, not something that has a finite life to it. It's hoped that it will continue for the foreseeable future and deliver results for the city and district.
So that was Alistair Woodgate there talking about the some of the success criteria. Now he was talking about it all the same in a little bit of a broad brush sense. But Beric, I understand that you've got some specific meaty targets that the Visitors Partnership's going to work to.
Yes, well, when we were setting up, because we started by looking at the evidence base for what had been happening before, and there's a measurement tool in the tourism industry called the Cambridge model. So we worked around that because that's what other cities are using, and it was quite good for benchmarking things. But what we're looking at is for 2018, we are looking at a 40% increase in the number of visitors.
Okay.
So that's from 1.6 million to 2.2 million. We're looking at a 55% increase in the visitor expenditure. Now, that's quite, on purpose, that's a higher number than the number of visitors because it's the way we're targeting things. So that's 160 million up to 250 million.
So not just
pounds.
more tourists, but more tourists spending more money.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're also looking at an increase in full-time jobs in the visitor. These are visitors, not just tourists. So they might be visiting for business as well as for. It's a slightly bigger sort of description than just tourists. But a 52% increase in the number of people working full-time in the industry.
Right. So those are quite
They're hefty targets.
I mean, how did you reach those? I mean, without going to sort of technical sort of detail, I mean, did you have a lot of debate about that? Because do you pick a modest target that you know you can hit, or do you pick a stretch target?
So no, we went for a stretch target, but with the knowledge that we've been underperforming in the past.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you bring in a new sort of group like the Visitor Partnership, the first year that it's in existence, it's not going to make a major number of difference to the visitors coming in.
Yeah.
So there's a kind of curve, a steepening curve as it starts to actually take effect.
Yes.
But on the Visitor Partnership, we also have the local train company,
Yeah.
because it's in their interest. They want people taking the train coming to St Albans.
Yes.
So it's getting people where it's mutually beneficial, and we want, the reason for the way the targets are that way is we want more people coming in by public transport,
Yeah.
or we want people coming in and spending money,
Yeah.
because I don't want the city getting too jammed up with people who aren't either on public transport or spending money.
Right.
I'm going to be selective.
Right, so you want more people, but coming in the right sort of mode,
yes.
if you like. Annie, I mean, you weren't involved in sort of setting these targets yourself, but how do they strike you as somebody who's sort of coming in and looking at this?
Well, they are ambitious, but then when we just look at some of the comments we've heard about hidden gem and not knowing, and even when I go away, I start talking about St Albans. Why don't we know about it? Why don't we know about it? First saint, only English Pope, all those things that we have. I think. Visit England, when they came to speak to us, I think it's absolutely right what they say. One has to spell it out to visitors and tourists. When it rains, go here. When it's, a lot of people haven't even seen the cathedral. One could actually come up and do some shopping and not even manage to see it.
Yeah.
So that's all about signposting, getting people around the village, getting round and everything.
Yeah.
So I think it sounds ambitious, but I think we should go for it.
You just picked up on something I meant to ask a little bit earlier. Finding your way around. You heard the lady asking me about where is it, mid-interview. I mean, is signposting as good as it could be in St Albans and surrounding areas?
Not yet, not at all, not by any means. You'll see some of the monoliths that Beric's been working on outside the town hall and outside the station. And there'll be about five more coming around the city.
Right.
We're working on a beautiful watercolour map, a proper tourist map, that one can actually get in one's hand and walk around with that.
Right.
But there still needs to be, and again, running parallel with the town hall project for the museum and art gallery. We want to look at a way to actually ensure people can find their way around. I think Alice was talking about an app.
Yeah.
Which would be great. Well, that's for a certain age group, and then to be physical maps for another age group. There even needs to be things maybe in the pavement or whatever to help people around when they haven't got anything. So that really one does have to think of what is the walk, how do people get there, can they walk? So all this work is what we're currently getting on with.
Now that's an interesting point. You're saying apps, a certain age and so on. I mean, these barriers are never as clear as you think they might be, but all these things will be available online, and so people can download as well as have them in their fingers.
All linked up, and one of the main bits about the new town hall bid is to actually have a really good a tourist information centre within that, where one can pick up a real guide, a human, to actually take round. We've got some of the best guides, and to learn everything that's going on in St Albans. So be it the International Organ Festival, what's happening at theatres, whatever, find everything out at this sort of one place. So I think that's something that we haven't really been seeing before.
Right. And is this process going to be election proof? Now, you're in terms of the makeup of the council and things like that, it's you're sort of there's a bit of laughter in the studio at this question, but it's an important point because if the new council turns out to be different colour or a slightly different hue in some way, are all politicians of all parties on board with this?
I'd like to say so. I think I can confidently say mostly.
Yeah.
I don't know if absolutely all are, but we've held meetings as much as possible for people to come along to, and generally people I think are on board. I mean, getting these things business run, which is what the Visitor Partnership is, does to a certain extent remove some of that risk.
Right. Okay. So independent of politicians.
And I just add anyone I've got involved of other parties are just as excited as we are.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, that was been a Business of Tourism special. Thanks for listening to The Business. Do tweet us after the show. Thank you to our studio guests Annie Brewster and Beric Reid, and thanks also to Jon Dean, Sean from the Boot, and Alistair Woodgate. It's good night from me.
The Business, sponsored by Kingston Smith Chartered Accountants.
If there's anything in the show you want to talk to us about, phone us on 01727 839 926 or email thebusiness@radioverulam.com.